we make things. We use our hands, minds, and machines to build, to fix, to improve. We're known as do-it-yourselfers, home improvement fans, fix-it fanatics, inventors. At our core, though, we're all makers. So let's jump in and make something. Hi, I'm Ron Hazelton. Welcome to the show. You know, I can't wait to tackle some home improvement projects. Others I put off as long as I can, and today's job is one of those. For months, my wife has been after me to put a prep sink in our kitchen island. Now, it's not the plumbing that's putting me off, it's having to cut through the solid granite countertop. Well, trepidations or not, the time has come for me to tackle this task, so let's go. I think you're going to find this very interesting.
To my way of thinking, this is a perfectly good granite countertop on the kitchen island. And the thought of putting a hole in it makes me kind of shudder. But that's exactly what my wife Lynn wants me to do. She says that because we have the oven, the cooktop, the microwave, the dishwasher, and the sink all clustered over here in this corner, that we create an enormous traffic jam. And she's asked me to put a prep sink down on the far end of the island. Now, I resisted this idea for quite some time, but then, being the smart husband that I am, and knowing that I have an anniversary coming up, I've decided to send her off to the spa for the day and surprise her.
Greg Pia, a third-generation stonecutter, has agreed to do the surgery. He's using a diamond-tipped blade. The water cools and lubricates the blade and helps keep the dust down. Step one is to cut out the four sides of the opening. Next, Greg makes angled cuts at each corner, leaving only small bits of the stone holding the cutout section in place. Then he attaches a suction handle, gives the stone a few taps with a dead blow mallet, and out comes a rather hefty chunk of granite. To finish the opening, he switches to a smaller tool and extends the cuts as far into the corner as possible. That done, the remaining corner pieces break away with a couple of taps. A little grinding removes the final bit of granite from the corners. Now I can remove the dam that kept the water from flooding the countertop.
Well, this is the ultimate test to find out if that hole is the right size and in the right location. Here's my new sink. I'm going to drop it in. It fits, and the hole is just slightly oversized, which is exactly the way we want it.
With the sink in position, I lower a plumb bob through the center of the drain hole and mark the location directly beneath. Then, using an extra long drill bit, I bore through the bottom of the cabinet and into the basement below.
Well, I'm down in the basement, and here's where the drill came through, right here. Now, that's the center of the sink opening. And actually, I'm in pretty good shape because I have a cold water line right here, a hot water line here, and a drain right over here. So everything is in fairly close proximity.
Because I've put in shut-off valves for the kitchen and laundry room, I don't have to turn the water off for the entire house. The first step in tapping into the existing water supply is to cut the copper lines with a small pipe cutter that works very well in tight quarters like these. Then I make a second slice and actually remove a small section of pipe. This will give me the space I need to install the T-fittings I'll be putting in shortly. I'm sanding the pipe to remove any surface dirt and oxidation. This is the first step in getting a watertight solder joint. With the pipe clean, I next apply soldering flux. This paste helps the solder flow evenly and promotes a good bond with the metal. The inside of the fittings also needs cleaning, and this I do with a metal brush made just for the purpose.
Once I finish the cleaning, I coat the fitting with Flux 2. Now I can slip the pieces together. Now I'm turning my attention to the drain. Slicing through this guy calls for a substantially bigger pipe cutter. For this project, I'm removing about a foot of pipe. The new drain line will be PVC plastic pipe that's glued or welded together. I first apply a purple primer to both the fitting and the pipe, followed by an application of PVC cement. Now, a good rule of thumb when applying the primer and cement is to make 3 complete rotations. While the surfaces are still wet, I slip them together, give them a slight twist, and hold them for a few seconds. If I don't hold them securely, the pipe and fitting can actually push away from each other. This Y assembly will allow the new sink drain to join the existing drain line. These couplings are what some plumbers call mission clamps. First, I slide on the metal band, then lubricate the pipe with dishwashing detergent and slip on the rubber sleeve. The dishwashing detergent acts like a lubricant and will not deteriorate the rubber. Once I have the Y assembly in place, I pull the rubber sleeves over the joints, slip on the clamps, and tighten them up. This perforated copper hanging strap will help support the drain, taking any strain off the coupling. Now I'm back upstairs drilling the holes for the water supply lines. This long shaft spade bit is the perfect tool for this. Next, I move on to the drain. Here, I'm using a 2-inch hole saw with a shaft extension. I'm doing the best I can to make sure the drill bit stays as vertical as possible.
I think that's an interesting thing.
This one piece will make 52 layers.
Watch on mobile devices or the big screen, all for free. No subscription required.
I'm just getting back from the Home Improvement Center with a supply of pipe for the new prep sink I'm installing in our kitchen island. A surprise for my wife. So far today, I've cut a rather sizable hole in our perfectly good granite countertop, sliced into the water lines and drain in the basement, installed the right fittings, and bored the necessary holes in the bottom of the cabinet. Now I need to put in the run of pipe that will connect the drain and the water supply lines to the sink. I want to do a dry fit first to make sure that all the pipe is cut to the proper length. Then I'll go back and cement or solder it in place. Before I disassemble the pieces, I make reference marks so that I can put them back together in the same position. Then I glue the assembly together. Attaching one end to the riser that goes into the kitchen cabinet and the other to the Y in the drain. Finally, I check to make sure there is a gradual downward slope to the drain. Now I can fit the copper pipe together. For this project, I'm using pre-soldered fittings. The solder is already inside. All I have to do is add heat. When things get hot enough, the solder liquefies and begins to flow out of the joint. You can see it here and here. All the connections are made in the basement. The pipes are all coming up into the cabinet. Now I have to add some fittings on this end, and then I can start on the sink. First, I'm installing what's called a sanitary T. The sink drain will attach to this later. Above the T goes a vent, and at the bottom, a trim escutcheon. Next, I cut off the water lines, install escutcheons on these, slip on the shutoff valves, and tighten the compression fittings with a wrench. With the heavy part of the plumbing done, I've taken a break and gone to the Home Improvement Center to pick up my new faucet. Now I only have one rule when it comes to putting fittings and fixtures on a sink, and that is I attach everything I possibly can to the sink before I drop it into the opening. I always loved modeling clay as a kid, and this is about as close as I can get to it in home improvement. It's plumber's putty, a mixture of oil and minerals like limestone and clay. Plumber's putty has been around for ages. It seems to last forever, and it's what I use to seal the sink basket to the sink itself. On the underside of the sink, I place a rubber seal, an anti-friction fiber washer, and the lock nut. This basin nut wrench has only one purpose in life, and this is it. With the basket snugly in place, I lift off the excess plumber's putty. Here's my new faucet. To install it, I drop the water lines through the hole, flip the sink over, slip on a mounting plate, screw on a nut, and then tighten it up using a plastic socket that came with the faucet set. Next, I pass the flexible sprayer hose through the center of the faucet and connect it on the underside. Now, if you ever tried to put all of these fittings on a sink after it's in place, you'll appreciate exactly how much easier it is to do it this way. I'm ready to drop this in the opening now. I just need to put some silicone sealant around the edge. This type of sink drops in from the top and is called self-rimming. The watertight seal around the edge comes from the silicone and these clamps on the bottom side that pull the sink down into firm contact with the countertop when they're tightened. To make the last few hookups on the drain, I attach this tailpiece to the bottom of the sink basket, slip on the P-trap, and connect everything to the drain system. On the water supply side, all I have to do is screw on the lines from the faucet, snug them up with a wrench, and turn on the water. Keep your eyes down.
I go down.
Look at the floor only.
I'm
all right?
looking
Now,
at the
well, you've
floor.
been out luxuriating at the spa.
Yes.
Which I'm glad you did. I've been hard at work here.
Can I open my eyes?
So this is something you've been wanting for a while. Go ahead, take a look.
Oh my God! Wow! Oh, my prep sink. Thank you so much, honey.
All right.
Wow! Wowie! This is really
it's-
great. I love it. It's great.
See, and it's all prepared for you. Your
Oh,
food's
yeah.
over there ready to go.
Great.
You like
Food
it?
prep. I love it. It's great. Really, thank you very, very much.
Happy anniversary, hon.
Anniversary? I don't think so. That's not getting a vacuum. No. But I love it though. I do.
Okay, here's your anniversary present for real.
Ooh, Tiffany's.
enjoy.
Thank you, honey.
Okay. In this week's sweepstakes, we're giving away a Ryobi 4-piece lithium-ion compact combo power tool kit. It includes a circular saw, a work light, cordless drill and charger, and reciprocating saw, all in a rugged carrying case. Now these tools are powerful, yet compact, lightweight, and easy to handle. The lithium-ion batteries hold a charge 40% longer. To enter the sweepstakes, just go to ronhazelton.com and click on the sweepstakes banner.
Ah, the wonderful world of laser levels. You know, in the last few years, these have gotten more compact and less expensive, and this is a good example. It's a state-of-the-art version from Ryobi, and built into the base right here is a rubber suction cup. On board is a vacuum pump, which means you can stick this to almost any flat surface without any pins, nails, or clamps. Let me show you how. I place the laser level near the wall and press a button to turn on the miniature vacuum pump. I can actually feel the level pull out of my hands and stick to the wall. The vacuum pump continues to run, holding the instrument securely in place. I adjust the turret until the bubble tells me it's level. Notice how the laser line continues into the corner and onto the adjacent wall. To check for plumb, I rotate the head 90 degrees, again adjust for level, and now I have a perfectly vertical line. Laser levels are especially handy if you're working alone, and they'll also keep you from having to make a lot of unnecessary marks on your walls. Well, I guess you could say that the laser is changing the way that we look at the world, including home improvement, and that's on the level. You know, I really like pegboard storage. Get your tools out where you can see them, they're convenient to reach, and they're very flexible. You can change it around as you like. But one of the things that's kind of bugged me about pegboards is sometimes the hangers themselves come loose when I'm trying to put a tool back or take it down. Well, here's a new product that solved that problem. This tool holder is made by Talon. Now it engages the pegboard in 3 places, here, here, and here. Once it's in position, if I push this screw in, you see it spreads these 2 wings right here and locks the entire thing in place. Let me show you how it works. These tool holders come in 7 different styles. That's enough to hang up anything I've got. This is a screwdriver holder here. You see it's got a closed loop for the smaller screwdrivers. For the larger ones, all I did was cut the front of the loop, and then it just sort of, the shaft just slides in from the front like that. This is the plier holder over here. Oh, it's just about any kind of plier I can think of. This is a short elbow, good for box wrenches. This is a long straight bar here. Works for things like my crescent wrench. This is a long straight bar. Drop my drill right in there. And then these are curved hooks that are pretty much perfect for a hammer and saws. Well, that's going to work out just fine, and the best part about it is anytime I take a tool down or put it back, I don't have to worry about those hooks going anywhere. I guess you could say I've got about the perfect pegboard.
We make things. We use our hands, minds, and machines to build, to fix, to improve. We're known as do-it-yourselfers, home improvement fans, fix-it fanatics, inventors. At our core, though, we're all makers. So let's jump in and make something. Hi, I'm Ron Hazelton. Welcome to the show. You know, the cost to heat and cool our homes is headed in only one direction, straight up. We're all familiar with the general recommendations when it comes to conserving energy and lowering utility bills, but the truth is every house is different. That's why many utility companies have come up with energy audits, a low-cost, sometimes no-cost way to detect energy losses in your home. Today, I'll show you just how these are done. Wooden tables take a lot of wear and tear and can end up looking pretty sad. However, it's not that difficult to give them new life with a finish that's good-looking, water-resistant, and durable. Stay tuned, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Now more than ever, cutting energy bills at home makes good sense. In a typical home, 50 to 60% of the energy used goes for heating, cooling, and lighting, and often, much of that is wasted. Well, local utility companies, like the one here in Connecticut where I live, are trying to change that by offering homeowners home energy audits to help them find out where that energy is being lost and what to do about it. Chris Ellert, the manager of residential energy services for the United Illuminating Company, or UI, explains why.
UI provides programs like Home Energy Solutions funded through the Connecticut Energy Efficiency Fund to help consumers lower their energy costs.
One of the key parts of these audits is the blower door test. First, this insert is placed in the door opening and snapped into position. Then, a blower is installed in the insert and sealed in place. Finally, a control box gets mounted on the frame. Next, the furnace is turned off, exterior doors are closed, fireplace dampers are put down, heating and cooling systems and exhaust fans are switched off, and windows are closed and latched. When the fan is started, it begins to pull air from inside the home, lowering the interior pressure and creating a vacuum. A smoke wand is then used to detect air leaks from light fixtures, fireplace dampers, windows, doors, electrical outlets on exterior walls, and gaps around heating and cooling ducts. Once the leaks are detected, they can be reduced or eliminated. Ductwork, for example, is reattached where it's loose and then sealed to the surrounding opening using foil tape. As part of the service, technicians who perform energy audits for the United Illuminating Company use an expanding foam to seal around pipes that penetrate basement ceilings and attic floors. In addition, the technicians fill any gaps or openings that could allow air to leak through. They also install foam gaskets on electrical outlets and switches located in exterior walls. Audit technicians may also install other energy-saving measures, such as door sweeps and weather stripping, and may even apply interior caulk. They will also advise homeowners on how and where to apply exterior caulk and how to adjust door thresholds for a tight seal. Another important part of a home energy audit is something known as the duct blaster test. For this diagnostic, a fitting is taped to a return register and all supply vents are sealed. A section of flexible duct with an attached fan is connected to the fitting. When the fan is turned on, the home's duct system is pressurized. Any escaping air is detected using the smoke wand. These leaks, such as this joint, are then eliminated by applying a quick-drying sealant. A typical energy audit by UI and the Connecticut Energy Efficiency Fund includes an inspection of existing attic insulation. If more is required, be sure to use the type without the paper vapor barrier. Lay it in the same direction as the existing insulation until you reach the top of the joists. Then run it perpendicular to the material underneath. Also, doors and hatchways in attics that are not heated or cooled can be made more energy efficient by adding rigid insulation to the back side. Some energy leaks, such as those through exterior walls, can best be detected using an infrared camera. Walls that fail this test can be made more energy efficient by adding blown-in insulation.
20% of the energy used in the average home is for lighting. Replacing incandescent bulbs with compact fluorescents can cut lighting costs by up to 75%. What's more, newer compact fluorescents come in a variety of styles and shapes that closely resemble their incandescent predecessors. The Connecticut Energy Efficiency Fund program, like many others, includes some bulb replacement. I decided to put the compact fluorescent lights to a test myself. Now here are 12 standard incandescent lights. As you can see, they're drawing 636 watts. Now I'll replace the incandescent bulbs with the same number of compact fluorescents. These compact fluorescents are putting out the same amount of light as the incandescent bulbs, but consuming only 1/4 as much power, 160 watts.
When we look at washers and dryers, we're really focusing in on the washing machine. The traditional washer uses 50 gallons of water to wash one load of clothing. If you were to upgrade into an Energy Star model, you reduce your water usage by 50%. Through our program, we do offer consumers rebates to encourage them to replace their old inefficient models to Energy Star models. If they act within 45 days of our visit, we'll actually double those rebates, so you can receive up to $300 in appliance rebates through the program.
Technicians will also install pipe insulation and point out other ways for homeowners to save energy by explaining, for example, how to clean refrigerator coils, replace central heating and air conditioning filters, and clean the filters on window units. The program also provides the homeowner with their own watt meter, so they can check for other energy hogs around the house. The cost of the Connecticut Utilities version of the home energy audit? Well, about $75. Not a bad investment when you also consider
there's also federal tax credits available to consumers who upgrade heating systems, your central air conditioning, insulation, windows, doors, even getting into vinyl siding. There's federal tax credits for vinyl siding as well. And there are many states throughout the country that offer similar home assessment programs, and I would encourage folks to check with their local utility for such programs.
Today I'm answering an SOS from my neighbor Christine, who has given up on her kitchen table because she considers it, well, beyond help. I'm going to have a look. Hey, good morning, Christine.
Hey, Ron. Good to see you.
Hey, Oliver. How you doing, buddy? So this is the table,
This
huh?
is it.
Oh, wow. This is the table that gets all the use, right?
You bet, yep.
Constantly, yeah. You know what I think happened here is I think the original finish on here was on the thin side. And what's happened with all the cleaning and just time and plates being dragged across this, that finish is just plain worn off. In fact, it's worn so much that even the color underneath the stain is gone in some places. So we're looking pretty much at bare wood right here. So what I want to do is kind of take this back to how it looked when it was new.
That would be great.
But the finish I'm going to put on here is going to be a lot tougher. It's going to hold up to the kind of use a kitchen table gets, all right?
That's what we need.
Now this job is one I prefer to do in my shop. So I'm taking the top of the table back with me. Now the first thing I'm going to want to do is remove what's left of this finish on here. And I'll be using a paint stripper. This is a thick paste brushable type. Okay, now I'm going to be applying this to the tabletop with a fairly wide, natural bristle, disposable brush. Now the whole idea when I'm working with stripper here is I don't want to overbrush it. I want just enough to spread this out because the chemicals in the stripper that do the work are gases. And if the more I brush this, the more they escape into the air, the less are left behind to do their job, which is to loosen the paint up. So just enough brushing to lay it on the surface like this. Now the whole idea with stripper is to let the chemical do the work. So I want to give this just a few minutes, and if you look at the surface here, you'll begin to see that the finish is actually bubbling up. It's lifting itself from the wood underneath, and that's what we want to be looking for. Now to lift that old finish off the surface, I'm going to use a wide putty knife. I'm going to make one modification to this tool first though, and that is I want to round off the corners here so that they wouldn't dig into the surface.
By holding the putty knife at a shallow angle and applying moderate pressure as I move across the surface, I can remove nearly all the old finish in one pass. A small box makes a good receptacle and gives me an easy way to clean my putty knife. I'm applying the stripper to smaller sections at a time to prevent it from drying out and allowing the finish to become hard again. Now I've opened the shop doors and have plenty of cross ventilation while I use these chemicals. Medium coarse steel wool does a good job of removing the old finish from the rounded table edge. Now that paste stripper took off most of the finish. There's a little bit of residue here though, so I'm going to go over it a second time, only this time I'm going to be using a liquid stripper. I apply the liquid stripper liberally with a brush. It flows into the wood grain, loosening the old finish there, and softens anything left behind by the paste. Medium fine steel wool helps dislodge any stubborn remnants and lift them from the surface. To prevent scratches, it's important to make long, straight passes in the direction of the wood grain. Well, I'd say all of that finish is off, but I am going to go one more step here. I don't always do this, but most of the time I like to. These strippers have waxes in them, and this last step is a wash with lacquer thinner, and the idea here is to wash off any of that wax that's been left behind. Again, I brush on the lacquer thinner, then use fine steel wool for this final cleaning. Now it's time for a little sanding, and I do mean little. This tabletop is oak veneer, probably only a 1/16 of an inch thick or less. I'm using a finishing sander with 220 grit sandpaper. Well, the table is stripped, sanded, and clean. Now it's time to put some color back or stain it. Now remember, I'm only doing the top of this table, so I've got to get this color to be a pretty close match to the base. What I've done is taken a couple of colors here, special walnut and Ipswich pine, and I've put samples of each on this board right here. Well, let's see how this looks. I'd say the special walnut right here is a little bit dark, and the Ipswich pine might be just a shade light, but I bet if I intermix these two, I can get pretty close. The special walnut will be my base color. To lighten it just a bit, I'm using a baby syringe to add a small amount of the pine stain. Now you can apply stain with a rag or a brush. I kind of prefer a brush. I like to put it on fairly wet and then wipe it off with a cloth or a paper towel. Here too, I work in the same direction as the grain, wiping in long, even, straight strokes. Well, the color's restored. I'm going to let this dry now for at least 24 hours, and then I'll come back and put a clear top coat on.
In this week's sweepstakes, we're giving away a Ryobi 4-piece lithium-ion compact combo power tool kit. It includes a circular saw, a work light, cordless drill and charger, and reciprocating saw, all in a rugged carrying case. Now these tools are powerful, yet compact, lightweight, and easy to handle. The lithium-ion batteries hold a charge 40% longer. To enter the sweepstakes, just go to ronhazelton.com and click on the sweepstakes banner.
My neighbor Christine was about to get rid of her kitchen table because the finish was in such bad shape. To prove that even the worst-looking furniture can be given new life, I've offered to redo the top. I began by removing the old finish. Next, I gave the wood veneer a light sanding, then applied a coat of stain. Now, it's time to finish the job. You know, in just about any refinishing or painting job, preparation is the most important part of the project. And I think we've done a pretty good job of preparing this here. It looks fantastic. Now, I'm about ready to start putting on the clear top coating. This is a polyurethane, and you notice that I'm stirring it here. You may wonder, well, why is he stirring it? It's a clear material. Well, this is actually a semi-gloss polyurethane, and the reason I'm stirring it is that the flattening agent can settle to the bottom of the can. So what I want to do is pick it up and redistribute it throughout the liquid here. I give the table a final dusting to remove anything that might have settled onto the surface. Now this is an oil-based material, so I'm going to be using a natural bristle brush. And you know, I don't skimp on my brushes on a job like this. I want to make sure that I'm using the best brush I can find for a couple of reasons. It's going to lay a much smoother finish, and the likelihood of me dropping bristles out and leaving them in the coating is going to be very small. Rather than work directly from the can, I like to pour the finish into a clean container. Then load the brush by dipping it in and gently slapping it on the sides to remove any excess material. I'm using a satin polyurethane that will enhance the wood grain, give a soft sheen, and most importantly, provide a tough, durable surface that will stand up to spilled liquids and scuffing. In this case, I'll apply 3 coats and sand lightly in between. The final coat is thoroughly dry, and I'm now applying paste finishing wax with a pad of 4-0 steel wool. Now doing this eliminates any minor surface imperfections and gives the tabletop a smooth, almost velvety feel. I let the wax dry for a few minutes, then buff it with a soft cloth. Well, it's time to put this piece of furniture back into service. Ready? 1, 2, 3!
Wow! It's like a new table.
Turned out nice, isn't it?
It's gorgeous.
You know, it actually is in a way better than a new table because the finish that I put on here is really tough.
It has to be. Okay, nobody can eat on this.
No. I want to show you something, okay? I've got 3 coats of polyurethane on here. It'll take just about anything. And so to demonstrate, watch this.
Watch, Oliver.
You see how that water beads completely up on the surface? So any kind of spill like that, you just take a cloth
Watch.
and wipe it up. I put a coat of wax on here, maybe like twice a year. I'll give you some. You know, put a little more wax on it.
Okay.
And that's really all you're going to have to do to care for this. It's really, so use it. What I'm saying is
Ron,
it looks
this is
nice, it's pretty, but use it.
Well, you can't have milk without brownies. Made these fresh for you this morning.
Ooh-wee. Hey, you know what?
Thank you for my new table.
You're very welcome. I'll do a table anytime for fresh brownies.
That's a
Do
deal.
we have one?
That's a deal.
Oh!
Oh!
Oh! You know, but from now on, you won't have to cry over spilled milk. Sometimes we can really be surprised at the beauty that's lying just beneath the surface. That's certainly the case here.
Now, how about this for a great way to store dowels and short pieces of small molding? This is just different lengths of plain old downspout. The plastic variety seems to work best. And these are downspout brackets. Use them to attach it to the wall or to your workbench. And for the shorter sections right here, just cut a small wooden block and put it right in the end. Well, now, there's no excuse for not finding exactly the right piece of material when you need it.